So we finally arrived at one of the highest climactic points in all of Attack on Titans. Yes, sir, this is Season 3, Part 2. Let's talk about this. What is going on, guys? My name is DJ Milez, and before we begin with this video discussion, if you want to see the value and entertainment I provide on my channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button and hit that like button as well. So if you already saw my Season 3 Part 1 video, then you know in terms of spoilers, we are only going to talk about what we've watched in the anime. But now this is the final pit stop before going into Season 4. So if you haven't seen the earlier seasons, go back, rewatch my video recaps on Season 1 and 2, then come back here. Now with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about arguably one of the most exhilarating things I've seen, not in just Attack on Titan, but arguably all of anime. This was everything that was built up for these characters, this moment. And where do we begin with this stuff? And let's go ahead and just talk about Erwin Smith, because that moment where he's leading his men into a cavalry suicide charge towards the Beast Titan, because he's like, men, we are going to die. Just remember this, but it's the people who live on that will find meaning and purpose in our sacrifices right here. Let's go out and show this Beast Titan who's boss. Erwin Smith, a man who just wanted to discover the truth and the hidden mysteries on what was happening in this world. And I love that moment in the season where he is on top of all the fallen scouts, and he's like, every moment that has led up to this point in history, will it be for naught, or will humanity come out on top of this? And what did that moment finally lead to? The anger and hatred that Levi had towards that Beast Titan. And we see how he's doing this attack like a Tasmanian devil. He's going ham 100%. And the moment where Levi has Zeke cornered, you just felt the energy and that raw passion where you're like, yes, take him down. And of course he hesitates for 1 second, and because he hesitates to kill Zeke, that's enough time for that weird Titan to devour Zeke, and he's like, sayonara. And it's so frustrating because we know Levi definitely would have killed him, but he had to think with the syringe, well, wait a minute, if Erwin Smith could potentially survive all of this and we capture Zeke right here, then he could become the newly acquired Beast Titan, right? But sadly, we don't live in that alternate universe, because let's go into the universe that did transpire. This is now where Levi has to make the difficult choice to save or revive Erwin or save Armin. And I love the conversation that Eren tells Levi, yes, he's my friend, but look, he's the one who discovered Annie was the female Titan. He discovered that we should attack the Titans at night. He's the one who took down the Colossal Titan. I mean, come on, this man, sure, he doesn't have that battle-hardened experience that Erwin Smith has, but he's a diamond in the rough. And that's why when Levi made that hard choice on picking Armin over Erwin, you can understand where he's coming from. But I'm curious to know in the comments down below, who would you have chosen, Erwin Smith or Armin? It's a tough decision. Talk about a foreshadowed moment where Commander Erwin, he told Levi, I promise you, you will come up with the right decision with that syringe and who you want to give it to when that time comes. And when Levi, again, was going to inject Erwin Smith, and Erwin Smith unconsciously waved his hand like he was back in school talking to his father, you could say it was the message Levi needed to confirm, okay, if you were to become the devil after us learning everything that we've learned about the basement, and we'll get to that in a second, then how would Commander Erwin really live with himself, as if he didn't already live with the guilt and distraught that all the fallen comrades that he led to death prior to all this. Now, of course, let's go ahead and quickly talk about Armin being best boy, because that moment, guys, when I rewatched that scene, I had tears swelling up, and you hear the music crescendo just going up, and you hear the when Berthold is emitting the steam, and Armin is like, Eren, for them to see the sea one day, for all of humanity, and he's like, I know he'll see it, and I'm like, no, Armin, no, he died. And of course, we know what happens, and now he has the power of the Colossal Titan. And a real nice callback to when Berthold died, and give it up for Berthold just having enough resolve to figuring out what it takes to be a soldier up until the final moments of his life, where he's like, no, I gotta kill you guys. I love you guys, but I'm here to do this mission. And when we see Titan Armin devour Berthold, there's that moment where he's struggling and screaming in the names of the people that he loved and cared about the most. kind of like what? The callback to when Marco died, because pour one out to the homie Marco. Marco, we were finally given what was revealed that happened way back in season 1 when he died. Season 2, they gave us a sprinkle and some assumptions that, you know, we can deduct as intelligent audience viewers. But no, Marco, he overheard the conversation that Reiner and Bertholdt had, and then of course, Reiner took him down because he says, Marco, you're too goddamn smart, so we had to take you out. And now with Armin having the newly acquired Colossal Titan power, now let's go to, well, what the hell we're trying to do in the beginning of season 1, and that is go to the basement of Grisha Jaeger to discover the truth on what's really happening. And we know that he came from outside the walls, but now in this flashback story, we see that he had a sister and that they too went beyond the walls. I forgot to mention this, but when Grace's sister died, he was a fool for not putting on the armband to show that he was an Eldians. And what do you guys get out of that? I mean, the obvious callback that I'm getting through our history books is how the Germans labeled the Jewish people back in World War II. Through the flashback that his people and all the people living within the wall are known as Eldians. And the Eldians are the only people that can transform into Titans. And how do we know that they can be transformed into Titans? Because long ago in the history books, we were told that a woman named Yamir Fritz made a deal with the devil or a god, depending on which perspective of the history books you're looking at, and Yamir became a Titan herself. She bridged the mountains, cultivated the wild, helped people, all of that stuff. And then we learned through the curse of Ymir that if you have any Titan powers within you, you only live up to 13 years since you have that power. We've known that the Eldians are now deemed as the subjects of Ymir. We see some civil strife happening within the royal sides of the Eldians, and through that, the Marley people took advantage of that and acquired 7 out of the 9 Titan powers, and that's where we led off to Grisha and all the rest of the Eldian people in that continent being treated as second-class citizens. Oh, and how can I quickly forget, while Grisha was going through all of this, you know, he and a bunch of other people became known as the Restorationists through Dina Fitz. And who's Dina Fitz? She's one of the last royal people who have royal blood in this continent. Her and Grisha makes a baby, and who's that baby? Zeke. And Zeke told on the Restorationist group and got them all annihilated. And dude, Zeke, that's not a bro moment, dude. Talk about not being a bro. Zeke, well, he ratted out his parents to protect his grandparents. But if that wasn't messed up enough, she got injected and she became what? The Smiling Titan. And oh, wait a minute, now let's think about this. So Grisha's wife became the Smiling Titan and ate who? Grisha's other wife, who was Aron'S mother. And wait a minute, that means Zeke is the stepbrother of Eren, and he told Eren, oh, you poor thing, you don't know the side of the history that you're on, and I'll have to convince you some other time. But is that really the case? The best thing about Attack on Titan is learning from the unreliable narrator, or through history, who are the victors and who are the losers. And the season ends with Eren deducting that if he touches Historia, then that could be part of the solution where he can control pure Titans. Now we have to really interpret whether or not that's true, because we've learned in the backstory that Grisha already had the power of the Attack Titan because he consumed the Owl. And the Owl, I know I didn't really touch upon him at all in this season, but I love the role and heavy duty responsibility that he had to upkeep, killing his own people for the sake of just camouflaging within the military of the Marley people to really make sure the Restorationist plan that he's going to give to Grisha Jaeger comes to fruition in the future. Because there's a moment where he talks to Grisha and he's like, hey, you need to become the Attack Titan to save Mikasa and Armin. And when he's like, who are those people? He's like, I don't know. So to bring it back, what would that mean for the government if they found out that tidbit of information? Well, if we learned anything with Attack on Titans, is that history or the truth of this narrative will be unfolded for better and for worse. But where do we stand overall with season 3 part 2? If you ask me, this is one of the climactic highs, and everything that you're getting from Attack on Titans is peak right here, with character development, emotional highs, and shocking revelations on the story itself. This is it, when Armin was sacrificing himself, when Levi had to make that tough choice. And not only that is the real history of this story, and who should we believe, the people of Marley or the Eldians. So thank you guys for joining me in this seasonal recap. So Attack on Titan season 4 is premiering next week. My name is DJ Milez, and as I always say, to be continued. Take care.